Hello everyone, and welcome to my The Bachelor Buzz News channel. I hope everyone is having a wonderful day. Before we begin, please hit the subscribe button and give this video a thumbs up. Chock Chapel and Joan Vassos of the Golden Bachelorette have been keeping their romance a secret for months, but their recent comments indicate that Joan may soon have her heart shattered by Chock, much like Gerry Turner. Although Joan's time with Gerry on The Golden Bachelor was brief, it was enough for her to acquire a feel for the show and realize that they might not have been a good match. Joan was ready for her journey after avoiding trouble with Gerry, whose reputation plummeted after the concert. Joan continued to pursue her role as the Golden Bachelorette even after her relationship with Gerry ended. An ensemble of 24 men came together for Joan's season with the hopes of getting to know her and forming a lifelong bond. Season 1 of The Golden Bachelorette took Bachelor Nation on a tour of the cast members' dates and rose ceremonies. Some of the men were fun to watch, but others were hard to imagine spending the rest of their lives with Joan. Chock and the other season leaders were in the lead. Chock, Pascal Ibgui, Guy Gansert, and Mark Anderson were among the men who Joan's season of The Golden Bachelorette followed attentively. Chock, who was frequently alone with the other members of The Golden Bachelorette's first season cast, was particularly uninteresting to Bachelor Nation compared to the other men who were considered frontrunners. Chock seemed to be chasing Joan more aggressively than the other men, but his efforts didn't come out as genuine after rumors of him being non-committal in relationships came out in the public. Bachelor Nation is understandably anxious about their future now that Joan has decided on Chock. Although Joan has been firm about the idea of not getting engaged during the finale of The Golden Bachelorette throughout the season, Bachelor Nation followers were startled to see her go back on her word. Throughout her time as the lead, Joan wasn't secure in the bonds she was developing with the boys of her group. Despite recognizing that she was falling for some of the boys and didn't have genuine feelings for others, she struggled to imagine herself getting engaged to any of her finalists during the season. While Joan even acknowledged during the Golden Bachelorette finale that she wasn't feeling sure in her relationships coming into the last days of the event, she ended up picking Chock and accepting yes to his proposal. Though she didn't desire an engagement, Joan joyfully accepted Chock's proposal and stated the couple is still engaged. Her choice to modify her mind was unusual, off-putting, and made some wonder how much power Chock has over Joan. Throughout the season, Joan was insistent about the fact that she wasn't interested in relocating away from her kids in Maryland, especially because of how close she is to her grandchildren. While Joan is from Maryland, Chock is from Kansas, and the pair have already had some extensive chats about their intentions for the future, including where they want to live. Even though Joan has said she wouldn't leave her family, she appears to be contemplating her decision. Joan opened up about the plans she and Chock have made for the next amount of time, sharing that they'll be going back and forth between her home state and his until they determine where they want to settle in. Joan and Chock both have someplace they're able to live. However, the pair has also disclosed that they're considering moving to New York area to be in a space of their own, despite neither having family in the area. Joan considering leaving her family in Maryland behind is a drastic shift from her earlier thoughts about moving. Joan's contemplation of putting Chock over her family is startling. Although Chock has been apparent that he developed a connection with Joan throughout The Golden Bachelorette Season 1, it feels like his concentration has been concentrated on the recognition he's earned from the series instead of his relationship. While Chock has divulged more about himself as he's moved forward on The Golden Bachelorette, his conduct has been unusual outside of the series on social media. Chock's posts throughout the season have been gratuitous, and now that he can speak openly about his engagement, he's been even more blatant. While Joan and Chock are likely both pleased not to have to lie about their relationship in public, the way that Chock's behavior on social media has been received has been unusual. Though he looks to be in love with Joan, it seems like he's laying it on thick as he writes about their romance, which has made fans worry if he's using The Golden Bachelorette for clout. As a company leader, Chock could simply use his golden bachelorette status and his relationship with Joan for attention until it runs out, then stop things without warning. Much like her stance on getting engaged at the end of the season, Joan was clear that she wasn't interested in a broadcast wedding at the end of the Golden Bachelorette Season 1. Gerry and his final rose recipient, Teresa Nist, had a large televised wedding that was crowded with Bachelor Nation alumni. The opulent celebration, which Joan attended with her fellow Golden Bachelor candidates, was a great deal for Bachelor Nation, but when Gerry and Teresa's marriage failed, it became a stain on the franchise. With the understanding of how hostile Bachelor Nation was about Gerry and Teresa's live TV wedding and knowing the pressure it put on their relationship, Joan made clear from early on in her season that she didn't want the same for her and her ultimate decision. As the season went, Joan's lack of trust in her cast made it seem clear that she wouldn't have a TV wedding, but after announcing their engagement, it seemed like it was a possibility. Joan's feeding into what Chock wants and not keeping true to herself, which could affect her if their relationship ends. Throughout the Golden Bachelorette Season 1, Chock was consistently someone who didn't appear to fit into the herd. While the rest of the males who were contending for Joan's heart managed to create meaningful relationships with one another, Chock didn't appear like he had the ability to build any ties outside of the one he had with Joan. Though it's not a need to establish friends with the other competitors on Bachelor franchise shows, it's something that the more socially adept contestants prefer to accomplish quickly. Chock's behavior and the way he secluded himself from the rest of the group was something that the guys on the series took notice of, and though he's recently admitted that there were relationships he established that just weren't on television, it came out weirdly. While Joan and Chock may have bonded in profound ways, many were so taken off by Chock's behavior with the ensemble, labeling it a major red flag. Hearing Chock's justification of his actions, his predisposition for seclusion doesn't seem like it's something that will go away. This could leave Joan feeling stuck. With the distinct examples listed above, it's apparent that Joan is bending her will in order to match Chock's way. While it's evident that Joan and Chock have a connection, it feels like Joan may be giving up more in order to make her relationship work moving ahead. Chock, on the other hand, doesn't seem to be sacrificing anything and instead is merely profiting from their friendship. Chock could have true love for Joan, but it seems possible that he's not someone who would choose her if it came down to sacrificing something in his life. Now that they're out in the open, Joan's having to give up a lot more than Chock in their day-to-day life to make things work. Bending to his every desire, Joan could be setting herself up for disaster in her relationship with someone seemingly unmovable like Chock. Although Chock was in a 9-year engagement before his time on the Golden Bachelorette, his exes from the past came out of the woodwork during the season to share their experiences with him. Chock's exes expressed in no uncertain language that he was a highly non-committal person who strung each of them along with words of praise, but never followed through. While Chock's exes could have been aiming for their 15 minutes of fame, the gang coming forward collectively was shocking and realistic. Chock took the time to answer for his conduct in his post-Golden Bachelorette finale press, but his remarks were understandably non-committal. Explaining that he'd had some relationships he wasn't proud of in the past, Chock tried to be comforting about his relationship with Joan without offering much information about his background. Even with Chock trying to reject the charges of being non-committal, it's evident he's not exactly who Bachelor Nation witnessed on air. Although it's possible that Joan and Chock may have discovered their other half during the Golden Bachelorette Season 1, it's more probable that the coupling won't work out. After learning more about one another over the show's airing schedule, they seem to have a plan in place for their future, but it seems more likely that they'll struggle to connect the way they've done in the past. Joan could end up alone, which would defeat the objective of the season altogether. If things go south for Joan and Chock, it seems like it will be at his hand, which could be difficult for Joan to handle. Right now, she appears to be blinded by love for her new fiancé, but if things change and Joan winds up on her own, she could be blindsided by the divorce. Chock's behavior has dictated that he may not be entirely committed to Joan in the way she is to him, which could mean she'll never see the heartbreak coming. Thanks for watching. If you like this video, so please don't forget to subscribe my channel and don't miss any update.